going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today I want to talk to you all a little bit about the 5% aura buff that Destruction got a week ago. Because if you ran Sims with that 5% aura buff, you would expect that raw DPS value to increase. However, like I said, if you ran them after the buff, it actually decreased. So today, I want to talk to you all a little bit about why that happened, and then look at some Sims, see if anything changed talent-wise, legendary-wise, AoE-wise, and just talk about Destro and its current state as a whole. And with Demo being nerfed, I guess in a few hours from now, it's already Tuesday, Destro stonks could be rising, so I think it's a good time to take a look at this. Now, if you guys like to acquire any weak auras, profiles, or add-ons you see in this video, all indeed available to you guys for free on my Twitch. If you want to swing by, grab them, hang out, ask any questions about Demo nerfs, or Destro buffs, or Destro Sims being bugged, or whatever you want anytime, feel free to do so. And also, before we get into the video, I want to give one big shout out to my patrons. Thank you guys a million times for all support. Really appreciate it. If you're looking at supporting, there should be a link somewhere up here, as well as down in the video description below. So with that being said, let's just jump into it first off the bat with some of the weekly Destro Sims, which are a few days old and have the, I guess, bugged, overvalued version of Destro in them, and the nightly Sims, which have the fix and also the 5% aura buff applied to them. Okay, so getting into it, first off the bat here, all the Sims are Night Fae unless it indicates Necrolord. There are some Necrolord Sims towards the end, we'll get to that, and they're all running Wilfrids unless it's labeled like Embers or Madness. Like, I did label Wilfrids here because there was a few different legendary combinations I went to Sim. DSI is Dark Soul. We do play Soul Conduit, spoilers ahead. That gets better when you have your 4-piece. 4-piece, more Blasphemy procs, more Soul Conduit value, more Bolt procs. It makes sense, it's one big cycle. So, it's important to keep an eye on this here. So if you run these Sims now as nightly versus weekly, you're going to get the same results. I ran these Sims, today's the 5th. I ran these Sims like on the 2nd or the 1st when the weekly profile had not been updated Monday night to the nightly one. Everything is working now in Sims properly if you run one tonight, whether it's weekly or nightly from what I've seen. These Sims here are a few days old, but I ran them back then and kept them for now to show the difference in why it was not working properly. So it's important to keep an eye on the version here. This is the weekly Sim. So this is the pre 5% aura buff Sims, but with the basically the issue, from what I understand, what I was told, I learned about this right when I got home from the Race to World first, was essentially that, so your talent here, flashover, technically the talent doesn't even matter. The thing we're talking about here is backdraft. So backdraft was not being consumed in the Sims unless you cast an instant cast Chaos Bolt from your 4-piece, or if you cast an Incinerate. So normal Chaos Bolts were not consuming backdraft stacks. So you were just having hasted Chaos Bolts essentially back to back to back to back to back. And you can see that here. Once again, this is the weekly Sim. You can look at the raw backdraft uptime here. We're looking at about 64%, give or take. Now, I'm going to go back here. That was the Embers build right here. I believe it was. Let me just double check. That was, let's look at the Wilfrids build for consistency's sake here. So Wilfrids had about a 60% uptime on backdraft, right? Now, this is the weekly Sim. If I go to the nightly Sim, this nightly Sim has the fix in for the backdraft bug, which essentially nerfed our DPS because we're losing hasted cast of Chaos Bolts and things, but it also factors in the 5% aura buff for Destro, right? So you can look at the numbers here, 14,300, 14,000, 13,800. We did lose some DPS. It was overall a nerf when they worked in the backdraft fix. But the big thing here, once again, look at Wilfrids here. Number one, it overtook Embers with Dark Soul. But the big thing, look at the actual backdraft uptime when we go in here, right? It was 61% with the weekly build, which is the bugged version of it. It is currently 43 with this. So about a 17% overall uptime loss on backdraft, but it's fixed now and it works properly. So the big thing to take away here, this is all with 4-piece. This is basically my character that I simmed. This is with 4-piece. I just simmed Flashover Dark Soul because it's like the 2-minute like build I've been messing around with for a while. However, we know that Eradication was simming better when it comes, that tooltip, when it comes to 4-piece, and really just simming better even before we got 4-piece. But 4-piece just made it even better because more Chaos Bolt cast, higher Eradication uptime, and well, I ran that sim. Here's the weekly sim, which we knew Eradication was ahead by a bit. I'll click the highest flashover sim here. The highest Eradication sim is about 417 DPS better in the weekly pre 5% buff bugged sim. Going to the actual nightly version, it is ahead by a bit more still, looking at about 533 DPS. So Eradication still your best overall choice in single target and 2 target. Not much really changes there. However, if you notice, all these Sims are also playing Dark Soul, and there is 4-piece here. I can show you that. I mean, this is my character. I am playing 4-piece, but I just played Dark Soul for consistency's sake. Just it's the 2-minute build we've known for a while. But just like Eradication, we've run Sims, and we know that Soul Conduit pulls ahead when you end up working in your 4-piece. So here is the weekly. These are like the big final Sims of my character, like comparing the pre 5% bugged version of Destro to the fixed version we'll see here in a moment. So we have Eradication, Embers, Soul Conduit, once again, all being Night Fae here, being the highest overall raw DPS, followed by Madness. Embers and Madness have sort of gone back and forth for me. Madness much more valuable in like a 2-target kind of setting. If we sim that, we didn't. This is a single target. And then Wilfred's being here behind by about 250, about 250-ish DPS. Now, if we go to the nightly report, however, keep an eye on these numbers here. Eradication Madness, 15k basically. Eradication Madness jumps over Embers here. A big change due to the backdraft change, right? Because backdraft lower uptime sort of makes sense. Madness overtakes Embers here by a bit at about 14.445, which once again, a bit of a DPS loss, about 500, but we weren't actually able to reach these numbers in game. The actual Sims were not consuming the charge of backdraft, right? So it might seem like, oh, we got nerfed, it sucks. Realistically, we didn't. In game, we never had this weird, oh, backdraft interaction, it was just a sim thing. So the current Sims for my character right now with the fixed backdraft 5% aura buff look like this. Eradication, Madness, Soul Conduit being my best single target build. It's ahead of the next highest build, which is Eradication Embers, by about 230 DPS. But interestingly enough, Eradication, Wilfred's, Dark Soul are very, very close to one another here when it comes to the second best spot here by about a 26 DPS margin of error, or I guess just margin, and the margin of error is 15 DPS. So if you're looking for a fight where you want like that really strong 2-minute burst window, like Lords of Dread, like Pantheon, Eradication, Wilfred's, Dark Soul is still a very, very good choice. And to a similar extent, Eradication, Wilfred's, Soul Conduit is also still a pretty good choice. So you've got a lot of choices mixed in here. But I mean, TLDR, Wilfred's, that 2-minute damage profile, if you're in a spot where it's good, it is still very good. And it's sort of like refreshing to see this, because when we tested on PTR towards the end, when this build was discovered and they changed the 4-piece, I felt like Eradication, Wilfred's, Dark Soul was much closer to the Madness Soul Conduit build than it seemed in Sims. In actual gameplay, like in testing, I tested this for a long time, it seemed like they were much closer, like somewhere around here. With this build being a bit better, yes, but it wasn't like this crazy disparity of like, 500, 600 more DPS, right? It wasn't like this. It wasn't this, right? So the fix makes that much closer. I was trying to do this, but my mic was in the way. Makes that much closer. The Wilfred's build is still solid, but once again, the Eradication Madness Soul Conduit build does indeed sim the highest. And if you go to the overall breakdown here, the Madness Soul Conduit Eradication builds also have a pretty high end, with the maximum being 17.2k, the low end being 14k, comparatively to, we have Wilfred's here being, I guess, 14.2, but a max of 16. So these Madness SC sims, a lot of RNG, Soul Conduit refunds with Madness cast times, which can get pretty consistent, but just random refunds here and there. A lot of RNG, but a high end, which is cool to see, what we expected, and I've enjoyed Madness gameplay a pretty good bit. So you might be wondering a bit though, well, we know NEcro Lord has been a bit better for Destro when it comes to single target. In 2-target, factoring in double legendaries, it's actually pretty close, because Decaying Soul Satchel, 2-target haste crit amps, they're basically neck and neck. I think it favors Night Fae a bit in 2-target. But how does NEcro Lord look in single target? That's a good question. So here is the weekly NEcro Lord Destro build. Now, we're not comparing these two. We should be comparing this to this. So this is the Night Fae weekly version. Once again, this Necrolord one here, the weekly version, is the pre 5% buff bugged backdraft version. It's ahead by about, for me, with my character, by about 500 DPS, which was pretty consistent with what I saw early on in Sims and things, favoring Madness, followed by Embers. Madness being a bit higher here than what it was for me here, but I mean, Embers, a bit of a trade-off. not a big deal either way. Then SC, Wilfred's SC, DSI, Embers, all that kind of stuff. Doesn't really matter a whole lot down here. The weekly change, though, the 5% aura buff, but the big thing, the fixed backdraft part of it, goes something like this. So you have Eradication Madness Soul Conduit at about 15k. Eradication Embers Soul Conduit at about 14.65, and those two really don't trade spots here. They're in the same spot. It's just, you know, the DPS, you know, disparity. There's a bit more favoring Madness. Once again, the backdraft change that essentially favors Madness a little bit more, depending how you want to break it down. And then Eradication Embers Dark Soul, Eradication Wilfred Soul Conduit. There's a bit of a difference here between like the Night Fae ones. I mean, if you want to dig more into that, I'll have the links to all the sims down below. I mean, for the most part, like if you're playing 2-minute Infernal, I feel like more often than not, unless this is a very niche kind of single target fight, there's typically like 2+ targets mixed in, so you're getting more DSS value as Night Fae, you're getting more cleave value. So I mean, you're probably just playing that in those settings anyways, where Night Fae is better. But either way, Eradication Madness SC does indeed still appear to be the best single target build for Destro, as far as both covenants are indeed concerned. So we know that Destro's gained a lot of ground when it comes, when it comes to, you know, the 5% aura buff, plus Demo is being nerfed in a matter of a few hours here. It's 4 a.m. for me. How does Destro stack up comparatively to Demo post nerf? Is this the right sim? It is not. Where's that sim at? Here we go. This is the sim. This is where I sim currently with Demonology post nerf, about 14.6k DPS. Now, Eradication Madness, Soul Conduit, Necrolord. This is Night Fae, by the way. The Eradication Madness, Soul Conduit, Necrolord build, all that does indeed technically sim higher than my Demo sim, which is sort of scary. Eradication Madness, Night Fae, the same build. Night Fae, Necrolord. Necrolord, Night Fae. The Night Fae build sims about 150-ish DPS lower. However, I think it's very important to drive home the fact that this Demo sim here is not the 11 or 12 imp Demo sims. These are 9 imps, and they get times 6 imp time rates. They are not fully optimized around the proper rotation for Demonology when it comes to single target. So there's still a bit of like value that's not being seen in these sims. I would assume they're probably both pretty close, almost neck and neck. But Demo also has like, you know, stamina scaling effects, rally, AV, APT, blood decay legendaries, depending how deep you want to go with it. It also has power infusion, which you might be curious where these 3 specs sim with power infusion. I have the answer for you. Demo PI with Wilfred's. This is this same build right here. 16.1k Eradication Madness SC, Necrolord, and Night Fae here. Being a bit lower. So they still have a good bit of a value there, but Demo gains the most raw overall DPS. And once again, if you have stamina scaling effects, things like that, Demo gets even better. And this is once again also still not the 11 or 12 imp APL, which, you know, should be a thing, should add more value to it. So Destro might look like it's better in single target, and honestly, the build might not be that bad in single target. I plan on playing with it probably over the next few weeks when I have some free time on Skolex and stuff, and we're memeing a bit. I also did move the power infusion timings in these a bit too, to try and get some more value out of them. And from what I found, these timings were solid, but if you want to play with it more, once again, link down below. I do still feel Destro is your, or sorry, Demo is your best bet when it comes to single target, especially when you're getting power infusion. If you're factoring in 2 targets like Pantheon, like other fights, things get a bit different. Let's take, well, could, depending on how things shake up. Let's take a brief look at some current rankings for the current raid. What is it? Sepulcher? Yeah. And talk a bit about that briefly. This coming week is going to be very interesting because Demonology is getting a 5% nerf, which is going to affect things a decent bit. We already talked about that in the previous video. If you want to look at it, there's a link somewhere probably at the end of this video in the channel down below. Power infusion has hurt Demonology a good bit. I don't personally think Demo needed a nerf if you weren't getting power infusion, but it inflated the value of the spec a crazy amount. Demo just scaled a lot with stamina effects. It scaled with gearing a bit. It scaled with power infusion a crazy amount. And Blizzard had to address it in some way, shape, or form, which means that the spec loses value, right? But also with Destro getting buffed and just how utterly insane Destro's AoE is with their 4-piece, with Reign of Chaos, with Inferno, with Soul Conduit, I think you're going to see a big shakeup in these overall rankings here. Now, this is Mythic, sorted by all Warlock specs. We can look through Heroic, but I mean, Heroic's sort of whatever kind of thing. Mythic is what I want to talk about today. So, Vigilant Guardian, I expect within like a month or so, I could be wrong once again on all these things, but I expect within a month or so, maybe even shorter than this, all these ranks here to be Destro. Demo, like, and Demo's fine in this fight, and it's probably potentially Destro. Demo's fine in this fight. It's probably better than Destro in a prog-based setting because the boss is out from the start, but you can get a good bit of AoE Destro cleave in this fight depending how quickly you kill ads and how fast you push the boss. And once again, Destro's not looking terrible when it comes to single target, and its AoE is utterly insane. There's a parse right here, playing the Inferno, Reign of Chaos, Soul Conduit build, playing Kyrian as well, which is very interesting. This legendary is undervalued, I think, and the Shard Gen can be very good. Already showing up at number 6. I expect this to be predominantly Destro within a few weeks, month give or take, due to the nerfs and due to Destro's insane AoE buff. Sausage is probably going to be mostly Demo still. Destro's okay, I guess, for some kind of cleave. This lock went through and just stomped everything into the ground playing Kyrian. Maybe there's more to that at a certain point. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But yeah, I expect this to be a lot of Demo stuff still. Zymox, I could see being a crazy Destro fight once again, due to the intermissions. The boss shields, but you can get insane Inferno, Reign of Chaos, Soul Conduit value on all the ads in the intermission. And once again, like, you might not be playing Cataclysm, but this build still brings a lot when it comes, a good bit when it comes to single target and cleave and things. So I expect Zymox to be a lot of Destro parses within the next few weeks as well. Pantheon, this is going to be a wall of destruction. This is going to be all Destro. Have you seen these this Destro parse? I dug through here a few days, like yesterday. This parse is utterly insane. Like, it looks like so much fun because look at his casts over the last minute of the fight. It's all Rain of Fire. It's all Rain of Fire, man. You're just raining fire down. When you have 4 bosses stacked on top of each other, why not? You're just casting Rain of Fire. That's all you do is cast Rain of Fire, and the boss just dies, right? You give him power infusion, you lust there, and all you cast is rains. The one unfortunate part about this is that a lot of guilds use Affliction on this fight as a prog tool, which is fair, to kill the Ritualist. I talked to my rig lead earlier tonight. I can't do it tomorrow, unfortunately, because we're still killing Ritualist as Affliction. Destro, though, if you can sit on the boss and just cleave them down with Havoc and things, and when you lust and stuff, I mean, look at this damage amp here. It's like a wow. I mean, need I say more? Like, I need I say more? All right, like it's all Rain of Fire damage too. It's all Immolation Aura and Rain of Fire is 70, actually 80% of his damage. Actually, it's 40, 70, 90. It's over 90% of his damage, roughly. Dude, I don't know, man. I said from the start, you need to buff Chaos Bolt or Incinerate. Don't give Destro an Aura buff because it's going to be insane in AoE. But did Blizz listen? No, they didn't. So I expect this fight to be a huge wall of Destro within a few weeks. Probably honestly, at the end of this week, you're going to see all Destro in this fight. Skolex is going to be Demo still. Halandra is probably going to be Demo. Lihuvim could be a wall of Destro too. If you're lusting phase 2 with double Degeneration Atoma waves coming in, you get insane Destro cleave. And once again, there is no class in the game right now that is better than Destro. As we can see, we lust right here. Look at his damage compared to the rest of the raid. If you zoom in even more here, like, dude, we're just doing 150k casual. Sounds good, man. Like, I mean, you know, yeah, there's that. Anduin could be a mix of a couple things. I think long term, when you're farming Mythic Anduin, it's probably going to be a lot of Destro because you just hold CDs, go into the intermission, and just get damage amp and blow everything into the ground, which is probably what's happening here as well. A bit of Cataplays, maybe a bit of a mix of it. But either way, Lords of Dread, within 2 weeks, as long as you bring range to this fight on Mythic, it's going to be a wall of Destro. Demo got nerfed. Destro's already insane here. It's going to be a wall of Destro. Rygolon could be a mix of both, honestly, with Quasar Cleave and Shadow Burn. It's probably Demo. But you're going to see, I would assume, a pretty substantial shift to Destro play over the next probably 2 to 3-ish weeks. And this coming week, you're going to see a big shift on a couple of fights just due to how good Destro is as a whole. It's AoE, utterly insane. It's going to be played in the MDI. It's going to bring insane AoE value, and they're probably going to nerf it. Just going to be honest. I hope not, you know, but I mean, we'll see. It's going to look real odd when you buff a spec and then nerf it, but hey, you know. Then again, maybe not. You know what? I took the liberty of running some, you know, 4-target, 40-second sims, and I mean, look, yeah, Destro's ahead by about 20k over Demo. It's not too bad. I mean, look, you're going to have your Infernal here, right? So, you know, it's 4 targets, Immolation Aura value, Random Fire value. But then I said, you know what? Let's run some 8-target sims. And, you can check my videos from PTR. I said buff Chaos Bolt or Incinerate. Don't aura buff the spec. What'd they do? They aura buff the spec. Don't blame me. I mean, nothing bad happened here. But just, hey, I don't want to say I told you so, man, but... yeah. So, and Destro AoE is utterly insane. It's single target and cleave is fine. It's mediocre. It's not like Demo with power infusion and insane stamina scaling, all that. It's fine. Like, it's okay. It's not like enhanced shaman or the other large single target specs levels of OP. It's fine. It's fine at what it does. When you can bring a pretty heavy AoE build, when you mix in the build here, it's basically the same thing. Like, decent to good, fine single target, but literally changing one talent. Like, the only thing you change with that build is literally this. Like, you go from playing this in single target to this. You lose Cataclysm once every half a minute. It really isn't that big of a deal. You just reapply Immolate and lose a bit of Cata value. And you gain just infinite loads of AoE value. I hate to say I told you so, but I mean, hey, you know what? I'm excited. I'm excited to play some Keys' Destro over the next week or so and see where it goes. I'm back home from the rest of the world first. It's going to be a fun next few weeks. Yeah, that's what I was going for. Not a next fun, but we'll see. So, yeah, Destro stonks rising rapidly, I'd say. Oh, and just to clarify, the Kalamazi sim in those like big AoE ones, that was the Destro sim compared to both versions of Demo. But yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. I hope this video helped answer the questions you might have had about the Destro changes, why the parses, or why the sims dropped even though there was a buff, and the current state of Destro compared to Demo and everything heading into this weekly reset. Now, I do think Demo is still good in single target. I think Destro is fine in single target. It's sort of a niche kind of build, but it's fun. Destro is insane in AoE. It's probably going to be played in the MDI. It's probably going to be played everywhere. If you haven't played Destro with this build, I would encourage you to take a look at learning how to do so, because this build is probably going to be pretty wild and gain a lot of value over the next couple weeks to a month, give or take, in the raid, depending on if you have your 2-piece, 4-piece, and just how all the fights end up going. So let me know what you guys think of these Destro sims and changes and just thoughts and everything in the comment section below. I'm curious to get y'all's take on if you think Destro is real, like I sort of do. I'm gonna be honest, Destro is like my least favorite spec of all 3 Warlock specs. It's fine, I enjoy it, but it gets old to me sort of fast. But this version is sort of new and exciting, and I'm down for it. Yeah, this spec had been around to some extent, like in 9.1 and 9.0, but like not with this 4-piece. This is a new spec. This is uncharted territory, and it looks to be, well, a lot of fun. So any week wars or profiles or add-ons, once again, you saw here, are all indeed available to you guys for free on my Twitch. You want to swing by, grab them, hang out, ask any questions anytime, feel free to do so. And also, once again, want to give one more massive shout out to my patrons. Thank you a million times, guys, for all support. If you're looking at supporting, there should be a link somewhere up here, as well as down in the video description below. Thank you for doing so, guys. It helps out a ton. If you're new to the channel and enjoyed it and want to see more WoW content, be sure to smash the like and sub buttons while you're down there as well. And yeah, I will catch you all again soon, probably in about 13 hours or so, maybe a bit less. We'll see whenever this video comes out soon on stream. Peace.